there, today I wanted to bring you the New York Times by the book tag. Everybody else seems to have done theirs already, so I'm a bit behind on that, but I like to think I'm fashionably late. I was tagged by the lovely Angelica at Mercury Calling, who I will link down below. The original video was done by Mary Berg. I will link her down below also. Let's get going. What book is on your nightstand now? I thought I would show you. So, up until recently, I didn't actually have a bedside table. This now refers as my bedside table. It's a little fireplace by the bed. And what I have here, let's move those, that's a few notepads, is a little pile of books that I've put here, mainly for the purpose that I think they look cute, but also, you know, I might read them. LMNOP is the first book on the pile by Mark Dunn, which is a really interesting sounding book about the idea of a world where people are writing letters to each other in this novel, but letters are being made illegal by the government while they're writing these letters, so they're trying to make sense to each other without being allowed to use certain letters. Sounds really interesting, and I keep meaning to get to it, but just doesn't. Then I've got the Bath Short Story Award Anthology 2015. I'm writing a story for the 2016 competition, so I thought I would get a bit of reading in on this. I've only read 2 stories so far. I'm not doing a very good job, but it's by the bed in the effort that I might read it one night. Then The Elements of Style by William Strunk Jr. This is just an interesting... I do my writing in the bedroom because I don't have a study or a desk or anything like that. So this is a useful little guide that I have just in case I am stuck on a sort of punctuation or usage issue. Then I have Angela Carter's book of fairy tales, which is a beautiful thing to behold. I haven't got very far into this. Again, it's one of those that, because they're only short little stories, I thought I would put it by the bed and possibly get round to reading it. But also, I think it just looks really pretty up here. And then I've got The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, a book that changed my life when I was about 16, and I like it being here. Not gonna lie. And secondly, what was the last truly great book you read? Now, I've read some good books this year, but when you're talking truly great, there can only be one. If Nobody Speaks of Remarkable Things by John McGregor. I picked this one purely because it said truly great. I thought that's got to be a spectacular book, and this is absolutely a spectacular book. Would definitely recommend check out my review video and see what you think. Then the third question, if you could meet any writer, dead or alive, who would it be and what would you want to know? I'm not really one for meeting people. I get nervous when I'm going to meet people. I sort of put people on a pedestal, so I get really scared. But it would probably be Ali Smith, and probably just how does the brain work? It produces some spectacular things, and yeah, just how. Then, number 4. What books might we be surprised to find on your shelves? I don't know really. I did have a few embarrassing ones that I would hide behind others, but I've now got rid of them because space was getting tight, and you know, there is not enough library space in the world for books like that. So generally, nothing. I would say if anything, it would be my YA collection here, but I'm intending to get rid of a lot of those. It's books that I bought quite a long time ago, and I can't bring myself to give away because they still sound quite interesting, but I just find it very hard to get inclined to pick YA books up. So a lot of them I will be giving away after I have read, but that's the only thing you'd really be surprised to find, and even that's not that surprising. So number 5, how do you organise your personal library? Well, I actually reorganised last week, and it's very exciting, so I would like to show you. So up in this corner we have general literary fiction, same in this one, and a pile of books that I no longer want to own. And we have a rabbit sign here, and then we have more general literary fiction. At the bottom here we have big books that wouldn't fit elsewhere, and at the top we have more general literary fiction. Then we move on to classics and more classics. And right at the bottom, this is the only shelf that's kind of a mush. It is poetry, short stories and writing memoirs. The reason I haven't organised this shelf is because I love it the way it is, and it's the shelf I see the most, and I love it. I love it a lot. Then, for some reason in my head, fantasy and sort of crime fiction and things went together, so this is my fantasy and crime fiction shelf. Yeah. Then is my kids fiction shelf, and then my YA shelf. The reason I've got this doubled up is because a lot of my literary fiction was doubled up, and then I realised that actually I wanted them on display more than the YA books. A lot of these are books I bought a long time ago, have not yet read because I have no intention, no pull to read them, and don't want to get rid of yet, but I probably will at some point. Then we've got non-fiction, and this is sort of the memoir-y section on the sort of fictionalised true life accounts of things, and then we've got the actual non-fiction down at the bottom there. So, number 6. What book have you always meant to read and haven't got round to yet? Anything you feel embarrassed never to have read? Not particularly. The only thing I could think when I was considering this question was Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf, and a lot of things by Virginia Woolf, to be honest. About 4 years ago, I read Orlando by Virginia Woolf, and quite enjoyed it, and never got round to her other stuff, even though I have Waves, To the Lighthouse, and Mrs. Dalloway, and A Room of One's Own. So Virginia Woolf is an author I definitely need to get round to, but she's one of those that just keeps falling by the wayside for me. So, if anything, Mrs. Dalloway. To be honest, I'm not overly embarrassed not to have read anything, because I generally read most things, so yes. Then, number 7, disappointing, overrated, just not good. What book did you feel you were supposed to like but didn't, and do you remember the last book you put down without finishing? Well, firstly, I struggled with this question quite a bit, but the book I would say most recently that I was quite disappointed with, by recent I mean I read it like a year ago, was Recapture the Castle by Dodie Smith, purely because I have never heard anybody say a negative thing against that book, and actually I didn't really enjoy it. I found it quite lacking. The storyline wasn't there for me, and it just wasn't very substantial in my opinion. The last book I didn't finish is probably, I don't know if audiobooks count, but I'm going to say audiobook, Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. Now I do intend to go back to this and probably start it again, but I bought it not realising that it was 32, 33 hours long. Very long. I got through 8 hours of it. The trouble is I only really listen to audiobooks if I'm doing the washing up or cooking or walking to work, so I was getting through about half an hour of it a day if I was lucky. Obviously you can guess how long that was taking me, so yeah. And also it's quite a dense book. I don't think it lends itself very well to the audiobook styling. Number 8, what kinds of story are you drawn to? Are there any you stay clear of? For me, I know it's a broad thing to say, but general literary fiction. If a book is well written, I will read it and I will probably enjoy it. It doesn't necessarily matter about genre. In terms of things I avoid, the only thing I generally avoid is YA, and that's not to say there aren't some excellent YA books. I mean, we've got Perhaps Being a Wallflower, Why We Broke Up, 2 of my favourite books really. But generally, if something's YA, I automatically kind of steer clear or go into it with a wary mind, because it's mainly badly done in my opinion. There's very few gems in the genre. Also maybe romance and things like that, but again, if it's literarily done, I will probably enjoy it. So I'm quite broad, I'm quite open. Number 9, if you could require the president to read one book, what would it be? I'm going to go with the stereotypical answer here and say 1984 by George Orwell, though you would think, being in politics, he probably should have already read that, but he might not have. Other than that, I don't really know. I think that's probably the most crucial and important one, and you would think, with things that have been happening, he probably hasn't read it, because if he had, you know. Number 10, what do you plan to read next? I plan to read, oh no, it's in my pile. It's in my tripod. Wait. That didn't go too badly. It could have been worse. I plan to read Sophia Khan Is Not Obliged. Sophia Khan Is Not Obliged. This is my library pick for the month. And the reason I plan to read this one is because I'm currently reading The Luminaries, which is very, very big. Although, really enjoyable and fast-paced, actually, but big. So I thought I'd go with this one because I think it'll only take me a day or so to read. I think it's going to be really fast-paced and really good fun. And that is everything. I'm not going to tag anyone because, as I say, again, I'm fashionably late to this bandwagon, so everyone's probably already been tagged or already done it. But yes, if you haven't been tagged and you want to do it, then please feel free and link me down below so I can check it out. Bye!